Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on this Friday. The Oscars are this weekend, and the competition is stiff. Will Sinners take the top prize, or could one battle after another win the night? We'll look ahead to Hollywood's big event and hear who you think should or shouldn't have been nominated. And everyone's favorite gardening expert is back today. Brian Minter will join us in our final half hour to answer all your gardening questions. I'm Amy Bell in for Michelle Elliott, and this is BC Today. And thanks for joining us. You can follow along on radio, TV, and live stream. You can call us now on our top story. What are your Oscar predictions, and what's your pick for movie of the year? Our number is 604-669-3733. You can also call 1-800-825-5950 or hit pound 690 on your cell. Also, email us bctoday@cbc.ca. And the 98th Academy Awards are this Sunday, and leading this year's nominees is Sinners, the most nominated movie in Oscar history with 16 nominations. One Battle After Another has 13 nods, and 3 movies tied with 9 nominations: Frankenstein, Marty Supreme, and Sentimental Value. This year is also the first year of the Best Casting Award. Many of the categories this year are shaping up to be a bit of a nail-biter. The Best Actor, Best Director, Best Supporting Actress, and Actor categories. Anyone could win, so who are you rooting for, and who do you think will win an Oscar? What was the best movie of the year? Just call us now, 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. And here with us now from Los Angeles is CBC Senior Entertainment Reporter Eli Glasner. Eli, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Amy. Happy to be here.
Oh, tell us, what are you, or where are you, and what are you doing?
So, if you tune into the video channel, you can see I'm actually literally on the red carpet.
You
so
are?
It's the amazing thing that happens every year. It's hard to see because it's under plastic wrap, so they try to keep the carpet as fresh as possible. And on Saturday, they tear it off. It's a red brick red carpet this year. And actually, I want to show you. So this is Hollywood Boulevard. So we're talking like 3 blocks, and they construct a giant carpet with a big tent over it. But there's always interesting design choices. And behind me, you can see kind of like a maple tree.
I think so.
I'm like, are they going to the cottage? Is this the heated rivalry effect that, little autumnal kind of vibes this year for the carpet? So yeah, who knows? Who's to say? It's a great show. And
it is.
Just jumping on board. But so this is where we are. This is where we live. And as we're here, you'll see throughout, today and tomorrow, they're getting it ready. There's still Oscars getting buffed up. Everyone's getting ready. They've been doing rehearsals, so it's great. You see people with signs of like Brad Pitt and Zendaya. It's not Brad Pitt and Zendaya, but they're practicing the choreography. So they get to kind of have their little moment as they're figuring out all the camera angles and getting ready for the big show on Sunday.
I love that, a little moment to shine as somebody else for a bit. What is the general mood like, though, in LA, sort of ahead of Sunday? Is things getting pretty exciting down there?
Very exciting and kind of like ebullient. And I say that with a little surprise because there is a lot of really anxiety in this industry right now. I mean, you have AI, you have studios that are merging with other studios. You have the Paramount, Warner Brothers. Like there used to be 6 studios and then there were 5. Like the industry feels like it's contracting. And this is post-pandemic. This is the changes of streaming. And this is in terms of consequences for jobs and how easy is it to make a film right now. So they're like really big, dramatic, earth-shaking things happening in this industry. And yet I was at an event for the Best Picture nominees, talking to directors, talking to producers, talking to Guillermo del Toro, talking to the Canadian producer, J. Miles Dale. And they're basically saying, you know what? This industry, it's always something. First, it was going from silent to sound. Then it was CinemaScope. Then it was DVDs. Then it was the Blu-ray. And now it's streaming. And so what I'm hearing, there will always be art. There's always going to be a hunger to get these stories told. And I think even in the midst of all this change, you look at these 2 leading films that you've been describing, One Battle After Another and Sinners, like what amazing, vibrant, relevant visions those are. So even though there is a lot of anxiety and they're really forecasting a lot of job cuts if those mergers are approved, right now, maybe it's the Oscar bubble, but they're feeling optimistic.
I love that. Oh, there's also a lot of anxiety in the world generally, so it's nice to have this little breather, I think.
Yes.
Eli, what are your predictions for the race this year? Who's going to be winning big?
So this is what's interesting. You have Sinners, which broke the record, as you said. Imagine beating out Titanic and All About Eve, 60 nominations. That is an Oscar record. And this is not like your typical Oscar contender. You know, back in the 90s, it'd be a beautiful period piece starring Ralph Fiennes. This is a wonderful Southern Gothic musical horror film with music and vampires. And yet, maybe that's what the industry needed. Maybe that's why it was a box office hit. And now, as my phone goes wacko, and now it's actually a major contender. So the interesting thing about the Oscars this year is this Sinners surge. For the past couple months, it looked like one battle after another was going to be the one to beat. But now there could be some upsets. So you're asking about categories. Let's talk about Best Picture. So you got Leonardo DiCaprio, you got Ethan Hawke, you got Wagner Moura, but then you have Michael B. Jordan. And he had that amazing moment at the Actor Awards where Viola Davis screamed out his name in joy when he won. And remember, I mean, maybe part of why there's so much interest is he's not just playing one part, he's playing two. He plays twins, Smoke and Stack, in the movie Sinners. And now some people are thinking, imagine Michael B. Jordan, who's been this journeyman in the industry, beating out Leonardo DiCaprio. Would be amazing stuff, but a lot of people thinking this could be his time. Now, let's keep going with the predictions. Maybe we talk about Hamnet and Jessie Buckley. I would say one of the safest bets in your Oscar pool if you've got your pencils out and you're trying to write that down. What she does, if you haven't had a chance, I mean, this is a heart-wrenching film. It's about William Shakespeare and his wife, and they have a tragedy in their small family. And part of the film is how it informs the writing of Hamlet, the play, because Hamnet was the name of one of their children. But Buckley plays this mother working through her grief. And the way they show art as a bridge to speak what can't be spoken, and the way that Buckley gives words to every mother's worst nightmare, simply remarkable. So that would be my prediction for the Best Actress category. Now, if you look at the Supporting Actor category, it's one of my favorite races. You have Benicio del Toro competing against his castmate from One Battle After Another, and that is Sean Penn. And this is a tricky one because I know there's a lot of love for Benicio del Toro. If you've had the pleasure of watching that film, he has such a wonderful vibe as that sensei who's so chill in the middle of this kind of like revolutionary activity. But every great film needs a great antagonist. And what Sean Penn does as Colonel Lockjaw is remarkable. Like, it's almost like a villainous cartoon. So I think that would be the pick for that category. And then, I mean, I guess we should do the Best Supporting Actress. That would be Amy Madigan from Weapons. That surprising, it's a horror film, and she's an interesting presence in that film. There's a lot of love for her. She was in Field of Dreams. And then it gets tricky. Now, this, Amy, is where it gets kind of tough to call, and that is the two big categories of Best Picture and Best Director. Now, you have Best Director probably going to be Paul Thomas Anderson, but some people thinking Ryan Coogler in that Sinners surge that I talked about, you could see an upset, but I think there's so much love for Paul Thomas Anderson, what he managed to accomplish with One Battle After Another. There is that feeling that he is due, and kind of compared to Coogler, Coogler in a way is still kind of rising, whereas Paul Thomas Anderson has been putting in the work for so many years now. But then the Best Picture, who goes home with the Best Picture? The safe money is on One Battle, but again, Sinners, if you're Oscar gambling, you want to play the odds. Some people think, there's so much affection for that film, for Coogler, and you just think of this as an industry where it can be a factory of sequels and prequels, and the lack of original vision. And the fact that Coogler bet on himself, and he owns the rights to this film, it reverts to him after 25 years, and made this wholly original world that was a box office success and an artistic success. Maybe. So again, my safe bet, one battle for both Best Picture and Best Director, but it's I'm you can hear me hedging because I don't know, and that's what's great is that some years it feels like a coronation, but this year is a race.
I like the years when there's a wild card, but I'm putting my money on Coogler this year. That's for my Oscar poll. Quickly before I let you leave, what Canadians are nominated? We want to give a shout out, other than the maple tree in the back.
Yeah. So there's a great short film that's from the National Film Board, stop motion animation from Chris Lavis and Masik Shabovsky. It's called The Girl Who Cried Pearls. You can watch it on the NFB YouTube channel. 17 minutes, set in Montreal. It is gorgeous. Talking about gorgeous, Alice McAlpine has made a wonderful film about donkeys in the desert. That's all I'm going to say. If you are on Crave, you can go watch it. It's called Perfectly a Strangeness. That is in the documentary category. And animation, as always, we do so well. Domi Shi is the director of Elio. She's already won for Bao, which was a short film she made many years ago. But now she's back with this movie about a boy who's abducted by aliens. I was talking to Domi about if she's enjoying herself at the Oscars. She was talking about, she went to this event for female nominees. She got to do selfies with Paris Hilton. How can you go wrong, right? So she's getting that taste of that Hollywood life, the best. She met Quinta Bronson and so many more. Maggie Kang, speaking of animation, a little film called K-Pop Demon Hunters. I know parents kind of have Golden wedged in their brains now, but that movie is a phenomenon, and the co-director is Canada's very own Maggie Kang. And I literally do not have time to tell you all the Canadians who were nominated for Frankenstein, because this is a movie that was shot mainly in and around Toronto and parts of Ontario, and the makeup, the hair, the production design. Guillermo del Toro spends so much time in Toronto now. He's basically an honorary Canadian. And a big part of being a great director is figuring out a crew that works with you and figuring out artists that you like, that you can depend on. That's what Christopher Nolan does. That's what Ryan Coogler does. You create kind of your own team and you go back to them again and again. And so many of the people who made The Creature and that Frankenstein movie look remarkable are Canadian. So lots to root for this year at the Oscars.
I love it. Eli, thank you so much. Donkeys in the Desert, say less. I'm on board, so I'll have to check that out.
There you go. Yeah.
Enjoy your weekend, Eli. Thank you.
Okay, cheers.
That is CBC Senior Entertainment Reporter Eli Glasner. So yeah, call us now on your cell phone. Who do you think is going to win the Oscars, and what do you think was the best movie of the year? 604-669-3733, or you can call us at 1-800-825-5950, or leave a comment on our TikTok Live. For more on this, we're joined by Rachel Fox. She is the senior programmer at the Rio Theatre, and the Rio will be holding its annual watch party for the Academy Awards this Sunday. Rachel, thank you for coming by.
Thanks for having me.
I saw you nodding along to Eli then when he was talking about the sort of Canadian contingent behind the creature from Frankenstein. Are there any other Canadian connections that you think you're really keeping an eye on this year?
Not so much this year. No, nothing sort of at the forefront for me.
All right.
Yeah, not like last year.
Oh yeah, it was a good year for Canadians last year.
Yeah.
This year's nominations, though, sort of Eli was breaking them down. They do really cover a really wide range of genres and styles. We're seeing a big representation for horror in the big movies. What trend really stands out for you this year?
I think basically like what you just said, there's this sort of range going on where you have some more of the films that we expect to see a little bit, and then some surprises as well. For me this year is really encapsulated by the fact that you've got like, you know, a Paul Thomas Anderson with One Battle, which is kind of, I don't want to say predictable, but we know the position.
He's
it has.
solid filmmaker.
A staid filmmaker as it well. And then you've got, you know, Sinners all the way on the other end of it, which is really bombastic and really left a mark with people from the moment it was released. And then I think for me as well, what I'm most interested and excited in is the Best International Feature, which I think is personally the most exciting race.
And who do you think is going to win that one?
I don't know, because I think they're all really, really great titles this year. I mean, so much so, I think that international cinema is starting to be embraced in a different way, that there was movies that were almost surprised that they weren't nominated, because they were right up there, just sort of on the cusp of being embraced by people like Kokoho from Japan, which was their entry this year, and it's the highest grossing live action film that Japan has made.
Wow.
And it's a real epic saga. And I think that was, right up there that people thought may have grabbed a nomination. So that race to me is the most interesting.
I'm going to have to add that to my ever-growing list of things that I need to check out. I realized this year I am so behind in what I've seen, not just the nominated films, but as you say, the films that people are talking about. And I just keep putting them on the list, so I've got to get into it. We'll get a call now from Ellie in Vancouver. Hi, Ellie. What are your Oscar predictions this year?
Hi, yeah, thanks for having me on. I'd personally love to see Sinners take home Best Picture. I think Ryan Coogler has made some really amazing films in the last few years. Sinners, I was telling all my friends about it. I've watched it 3 or 4 times. I saw it twice in theaters. I love the musical element to it. I'm really big into like Irish traditional folk music, so it was really incredible for me to see that in a film. I think it blended genres really well. But I also loved Train Dreams. I love slow, dreamy, nostalgic feeling films. And I think living in BC, Train Dreams takes place like in the Pacific Northwest in the United States, but they're working on the railroad in BC. Our history is really intertwined with the CPR railroad. So I just felt like it was an interesting window in, and it's got a really sad, melancholy, but very nostalgic dream-like feel to it. So I'd be happy with either of those.
All right. I think that's, I've heard Train Dreams come up a lot as that sort of gut punch sleeper hit.
It's, you know what, that was a beautiful film.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those movies that, to me, that movie was all about, for me anyway, the production design of it. Just the way that it looked like you're looking at a portal through a different period, and it really supports the performances and the story itself. Beautiful film.
Yeah, just visually stunning. And as I said, if you haven't seen it, get your Kleenex ready. It's a bit of an emotional one. We did get an email in from Norman in Prince George, and he writes, I think it's almost a dead heat between One Battle After Another and Sinners, except for that unbelievably great scene in Sinners where the history of Black music from Africa to voodoo to acoustic to electric blues all blend. And that is something I think a lot of people perhaps on first watch of Sinners didn't realize the rich history of Black culture that Ryan was bringing in and sort of dispersing through this. It was so unexpected with the horror elements and the Irish music.
Yeah, I mean, I think that movie to me is an example of, you might have had an idea just from the marketing of what you were going in to see.
Sure.
And then it took a completely different left turn and took you on this completely different joyride than you may have been expecting.
Yeah.
I think that's what really resonated with people, is that feeling of surprise, which we should be getting from the movie.
Well, and you don't always get for a movie like that to really, especially by a known name, and it had a lot of publicity and big, Michael B. Jordan's very well known.
Yes.
But still to go into that film and be completely blindsided, I think was an amazing, amazing accomplishment.
I agree.
Would love to have more people let us know what their thoughts are. 604-669-3733, 1-800-825-5950, or email us, bctoday@cbc.ca. Just let us know what your picks are for the Oscars and any snubs that you think came on along the way. I do want to talk about the Oscars themselves. Second year that Conan O'Brien will be hosting. How do you think he fared last year, and how do you think he's going to handle it this year?
I mean, he's a pro. I mean, I don't...
He's pretty solid.
He is, I mean, just naturally, I think, incandescent, and really smart, and knows how to read the room and sort of keep the tone right. I mean, he's had, decades of experience doing this. I can't think that there's too many people better than him.
I know.
Yeah.
And it just seems like he has such amazing appeal that so many people like him. He's deeply unproblematic.
Yeah,
I love it. In terms of the ceremony, is there anything that you think might stand out this year in particular? I mean, I'm not expecting anybody to come to blows ahead of any announcements, but what do you think is going to happen this year?
I don't know. I mean, this sometimes sort of, as Eli said, you have this sort of, I don't want to say predictable, but you kind of know what direction the ship is going. And I feel this year, because there are so many different movies that feature different things that are really exciting. I think the prizes are going to be dispersed this year. Like,
I love.
I do too. Like, I mean, even just in going through the lists of categories, like, I think Jacob Elordi is going to win Best Supporting.
Do you?
For Frankenstein. Well, yeah.
I think you're the first person I've heard to say that.
He's taken other awards. And I mean, we've seen, I think Oscar likes to shower new talent. And, you know, yes, Benicio and Sean Penn, amazing in one battle. Sure. But he's Frankenstein. And he is, I mean, give it to this guy. He is the actor for, I think, this generation, and he is wonderful in that. So I'd love to see that sea change.
And it's funny, too, because I wasn't necessarily a huge fan of the film itself, but his performance really stuck with me, and it was so tender and human and complicated, and he did do a masterful job.
I mean, and I have to ask, too, when you saw Frankenstein, did you see it on the big screen?
I didn't. And I should have.
Well,
I'm terrible, Rachel.
Well, Amy, we can have this conversation. I mean, I was really fortunate. Netflix did, you know, put that movie out, and I think people in Vancouver, they probably saw it at VIFF on 35, or they might have seen it at the Rio. And, you know, just that experience on the big screen, it is a big screen movie. Guillermo del Toro knows what he's doing, and he wants you to be enveloped by the world. And it's definitely worth seeing there. That's why I think I'm like, oh, I think he could take it.
Okay, all right. Yeah. I might have to put that on my list as well. I'm in a deeply contentious Oscar pool with one other person every year, so that might be my wild card pick. We'll see.
Yeah, don't discount Frankenstein.
All right. I'm coming for you, Jenny, just so you know. Eli touched on it. You're touching on this now in terms of the huge revolution of streaming, and the way people consume movies is very different. And there's a lot going on this year with AI.
Yeah.
In terms of the industry, you come from, obviously, the theater side of things. How is that changing? Not just how people consume the movies, but how the awards are handed out.
I mean, I think it's not that it's changing; it's changed. You know, like we're in a different place now, and I think I don't know. I'm biased. I'm you know, it's in my DNA at this point. I think everything's better on the big screen. I think you appreciate the art more when you're seeing it the way that it was intended to be seen. Yeah. So I do think that people are starting to sort of get that memo and return and experience things that way. Like even just, you know, lately we've been showing movies, like one of the films that's up for Best International is Serrat from Spain. Right. That movie's all about the soundscape. It's a complete and total shocker for the audience, and it just is not going to have the same impact watching it at home because of the technical elements to it. So I think people really should pay attention to that.
Do you think then that will lead to some people being surprised by who the winners are because they're being judged as they should be seen? The judges are watching it on the big screen. They're getting that full experience.
I mean, I think so. I think for people that work in those industries, whether they're, you know, people that work in audio or they're people that are, you know, costumers or makeup, like they know how they're creating art and how it's meant to be seen. And those are ultimately, a lot of times, the people that are making the decisions of who's, you know, going to be awarded. Yep. So I do think it makes a huge difference. Especially for, you know, for people that put so much time and real care into the craft. You want to appreciate it the way it was intended.
Before I let you go, Rio obviously having their annual watch party.
And the park.
That's right.
We're doing double duty this year,
Love
Amy.
it.
We're taking over.
I love it. So what can people expect?
Oh, they can expect a good time. I mean, always. I mean, there's
gowns.
Oh, of course.
Yes.
I mean, I think it's a great excuse to resurrect a bridesmaid dress that you.
I have many, my friend.
Well, then, I mean, we will hold a spot for you. But I mean, I think it's fun. I think the people that are going to come out for this are people that are invested because they've watched the film, so they feel like they're rooting for something. It's a good time, and you can be among your tribe.
And there's something about watching it with people that are as big a movie fans as yourself, and can cheer for the same film. It's just kind of electric. So.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm sure it is going to be a blast.
Absolutely.
Rachel, always so great to have you with us. I wish we had more time, but
next year.
Next year. Happy watching on Sunday.
Happy Oscar weekend.
That is Rachel Fox. She is the senior programmer at the Rio Theatre. And stick around for us, of course, in our next half an hour. We're going to have everybody's favorite gardener to answer your growing concerns. Brian Minter will be with us. But first, it is time for the CBC Local News with Michelle Morton.
Good afternoon. Here are the headlines from the CBC Vancouver newsroom. Police say shots fired at a business in Delta this morning are believed to be linked to an extortion case. Investigators say surveillance footage shows people inside a white sedan firing multiple shots into the business before taking off, and no one was inside at the time. The department's extortion task force has taken over the investigation. BC's unemployment rate in February remains stagnant from the previous month, staying at 6.1%. Statistics Canada says BC's jobless rate remains on the lower end of the spectrum among Canadian provinces, with only Quebec and Saskatchewan recording lower rates. Among BC cities, Nanaimo reported the highest unemployment rate last month at 7.7%, and Kamloops recorded the lowest rate among the BC cities, listed with 3.8%. And Vancouver-based TELUS Corp says its IT and customer service arm suffered a cyber attack involving unauthorized access to some of its systems. The company says TELUS digital operations are not affected. It also says customers who may have been affected by the breach will be notified, and cyber forensics experts are supporting the investigation. In the local forecast by Environment Canada, a chance of showers for today with highs reaching 8 degrees, and tonight a chance of rain showers or wet flurries overnight with gusty winds cooling down to 0. Now back to BC Today with Amy Bell.
Thank you so much, Michelle. And we were obviously talking about Oscar predictions. Do you have a favorite film of the last year?
Well, you know, I believe Hamnet has been nominated.
Yes.
I just watched it last weekend, and I have never cried like that in a movie before. So honestly, I'm rooting for them. They pulled Morton's heartstrings
They
here.
tugged at the old heartstrings.
Oh.
I have been forewarned that I need to emotionally steel myself before I watch that. So.
Oh yeah, I had the ugly cry going on. I
the
was
best.
just, oh my God, cathartic too.
Yeah, if you're gonna cry, let it all out.
You know, there's nothing like a good cry. Really.
Just not right now. I'm doing a show.
Yeah, maybe
Thank
not
you
at
very
work.
much, Michelle. And that is Michelle Morton with the CBC News, and you are listening to BC Today here on CBC Radio 1. You can also catch us on our YouTube page and on the listening app. And it is Friday, and that means Brian Minter is here with his gardening advice and to take your questions. So get them in now. Call us at 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733, pound 690 on your cell phone, or email bctoday@cbc.ca. And of course, Brian joins us now from Country Garden Limited in Chilliwack. Hello, Brian.
Hi, Amy.
Hey.
Wonderful to be here. And the snow this morning, really, that's not something we want at this time of year, honestly. We had lots of time for that. Let's get on with spring.
It's enough,
But,
yes.
yeah, it is. But the big thing right now is, we thought this morning, what's important to gardening right now? Because there's a bit of a delay with March, it being its typical, fickle type of weather. But pruning is really top of mind. And one of the most important things is, and where virtually everybody has one, are roses. And I just wanted to say a few words. Number one, never prune until the last hard frost, because people are saying, oh my gosh, the leaves are coming out. I should be pruned. It's too late. No, forget it. After we had our last hard frost in your area, and that's usually sometimes late March or April in that range, so don't be too worried about it all. Couple things about pruning roses. There's so many different forms today. There's a traditional hybrid tree, Flora under, grandiflora, and all the different types like that. Those are the ones that, and I think we prune too high. In my opinion, above the little bud union in the bottom, the little graft, I'd like to see 8, 10, 12 inches. I always bring them right down because that causes so much new growth to come along, and just the right size in our garden, because sometimes they get old and hard and woody and they're just not a nice rose to have in your garden. So hard pruning is in order after that last hard frost. The other one that is really taking over right now, and for so many good reasons, are the shrub roses. I always did never like the knockout, for example. There's many out there because it was, didn't have the prettiest blossoms, although now they do have the double knockouts. But oh my gosh, a couple of years ago when everything was so bad in terms of weather, the other roses were just not doing well, little mildew showing up and so on. They were absolutely fine. Also, they're very hardy in winter for a lot of our northern province people, minus 30, minus 35. They're fine with that. But they need to be pruned back as well. The more you prune when a plant is younger, it's fuller and nicer it gets. It becomes a beautiful shrub or a ground cover as you would like. The other thing is climbing roses. People are not quite sure what to do with climb roses, and the simple answer is this. Take your climbers or ramblers, save your 4 or 5 of your best, strongest, nicest, cleanest shoots, and spread them out along a trellis or arbor or fence line, whatever you have, and get rid of everything else. And that will be your best blooming wood for this year and give you an absolutely fabulous show. Amy, a couple of the things that are really important other than roses. Number one is so many of our trees and shrubs that are flowering. We have winter flowering plants still looking good out there, and because it's cooler, they're lasting a lot longer. But after flowering, they should be pruned back, no question about that. And but don't prune a lot of the flowering shrubs you're expecting to prune, because you're going to cut all the blossoms off. So easy up on the flowering shrubs that have yet to bloom. I would say 2 things in particular: hydrangeas. Most of the, late summer blooming, the arborescens types, the paniculata grandiflora types and whatnot, that bloom on their new wood, yeah, it's okay to cut them back and prune them back this time of year. We'll get a nicer, fuller plant. And even on the tree form, same thing. They should be cut back and pruned back now. But the macrophyllars, the old mophead types that look so fabulous in our garden, hands off. Don't touch them. The buds are already set. And if we prune them, we're cutting all the blooms off. And husbands out there, you do this every year, because I get a phone call from your wife on the CBC saying, my hydrangea didn't bloom. Well, guess who's to blame here? So seriously, no pruning those hydrangeas. And conifers too. Some of our beautiful conifers just get bigger and bigger, like the cedars and cypress. Good time to prune them. Don't prune too hard, though. You can stay within the green, because they don't put new growth out of old woods. So stay within the green. But a couple of anomalies out there are beautiful spruce and fir trees that look so good, and also the pine trees. Please don't prune now, because you wait until, for the pines in particular, the candles, a new growth up on top called the candles, that's usually May before they actually start coming up. That's when we prune. And the same thing with spruce, that beautiful blue spruce or other fir you have in your garden. Wait until the buds pop, and that's when we actually prune. And all your broadleaf plants, the laurels and everything else that you want to cut back and get into shape, hey, it's a great time to be with that too. But if it's a broadleaf plant, like the beautiful lily of the valley shrub, Purus japonica, wait until the flowers are finished, the new growth comes, and they start, then you can start pruning. The same with the azaleas and rhodos. No touching until they finish flowering and you see the new growth. Wonderful time then to prune the back. So it can be a little bit confusing, but now is a great time to be able to prune or not prune. Be careful in terms of, but it makes our garden better. And I guess as soon as you're quite comfortable that the frost is over, then we go after our roses.
All right. Suddenly I'm realizing why my hydrangeas weren't blooming the last couple of years. I might have to have a little chit chat with somebody at home, Brian. Thank you.
Happened before. Okay.
We'll get to some calls.
Yeah.
And of course,
Yeah.
people can call us at 604-669-3733, 1-800-825-5950, or email bctoday@cbc.ca. We'll take a call now from Kim in Burnaby. Some trouble with bears and fruit that you're asking about.
Hi.
Hi, Kim.
Hi, Kim.
Hello. It's a question for Friday the 13th, because you probably haven't had a question like this before.
Yeah.
Why, when we replant our forests, why don't they put apple trees in those replanting, for the bears could stay up in the mountains and have an apple tree?
I don't know.
You bring up a very good point. I guess we don't want them become habit forming. They taste good up in the mountains, so when we come down, we'll go after the local trees. That might be the only reason. It's not a natural food for them, and I think in terms of looking at wildlife and what is their natural habitat and what do the trees and grow there, that would probably be the answer. And of course, they have great memories. They're very smart. And if they do have wild apples, and which they are growing up there, when they are foraging for food and come into areas where people are living, that might be the answer right there. Simply because we don't want to create a habit here.
All right, Kim. Thank you for that. A good question for Friday the
good
13th,
question.
Indeed. We've got go to Chris now in Victoria. Hi, Chris. What's your question for Brian? Chris, are you there? Oh, we'll get to.
Can you hear me?
No, now we can hear you, Chris. What's your question for Brian?
Yeah, thanks for taking my call. Brian, I bought a fig tree probably about 5 years ago. It was really little when I bought it, but I bought it because there was an actual viable, live, edible fig on it when I bought it. And since then, I put it in the ground, and it's been growing okay. But I am having a really hard time getting any more viable edible figs. Last year was the closest I got. I got some figs that plumped up really nice and were big. And, in later August when they were, when all the other figs were ready, I gave them a soft little squeeze. They felt soft enough, similar to other ones that were ripe that I had tried on other trees. But every time I cut into a fig on my fig tree, it was white on the inside.
Okay.
Yeah, and so, but I feel like I couldn't have left it any longer. Like it was so soft and so squishy, and looked like it was just about to fall right off the tree. And even when I tasted it, it still tasted pretty good, but it just wasn't as good and wasn't as ripe as those other well-established figs from more well-established fig trees. So, am I doing something wrong, or do I just need to wait more years for it to grow and be more established?
No, Chris, I think a couple of issues that come to mind. Number one is, do you feed it at all?
I don't
give it any food?
No, try to give it lots of water.
Okay, we need to change that, please, because you don't have enough heat units in Victoria. Out in the Eastern Valley where we have incredible heat units in the summer. Matter of fact, Chilliwack is one of the warmest cities in our country overall. We get up to 35 degrees and so on. We've been up to 47. But anyway, that's another story. The point is you need the heat units to ripen figs. And I always chuckled myself when I used to go to CBC down First Avenue every year. And you get into late August and September, there's plastic all over the sides of the streets. When I go through the Italian community, guess what? They're putting plastic over their figs to ripen the figs, get more heat units in there. And so that's really the issue. 10, 15, 19, high phosphorus and potash. I would say probably put that on in June. That'll hasten the ripening of your fruit, no question. And as our wonderful Italian community do, put some plastic around, get it later in the summertime, because it'll get warmer to get those figs ripening earlier. So those are things, all the things you can do in terms of the fig you have. I always look to the future in terms of there are figs that are better. One I'd like you to try, if you have room in your garden for it, it's really turning a lot of heads right now, is a new variety called Fig Nominal. And it's more compact, but boy, does it produce lots of figs. It's a brown turkey type and very, very good. Otherwise, another one would be Vern's Brown Turkey. It has to be specifically Vern's. There's a whole story behind that, but that ripens early as well. So Chris, either move to the Eastern Valley along with your fig. We'd love to see you out here fertilizing it, but the plastic, like we've learned from our Italian community, or basically try a couple of new ones. But certainly if you have a spot, try Fig Nominal. I think you'll be really impressed and you'll really enjoy the figs.
With the plastic, Brian, do I wrap it in plastic or do I just like cover it in plastic, almost like a?
Yeah, I mean, if it was me, I would put some stakes in the ground. I don't like it sitting right over top of them because it smothers them a wee bit. But I'd put a few stakes around and just attach the plastic to the stakes just in front to magnify the heat. And my gosh, I see so many of them each year, and it just works. It really does.
All right, Chris.
What time of year? Like July?
Yeah, late July. If you know, it's usually August, September, because we're trying to get the last bit of heat we possibly can to get those figs ripen. And it's the very last, part of the summer is when they, benefit most from that.
All right, Chris, hope that helps. Good luck with your figs. We'll get a call in quickly from Matt in Kamloops. I think you've got a problem with some ants, Matt.
That would be true, ma'am.
What is your question for Brian?
I actually do end up having two, but my main concern right now is I don't know what specific species of ant they are, but there's a major colony right under my unit, and I have a small garden bed outside of my unit, and every year they come back and they destroy stuff like my zucchinis and my other squashes and stuff like that. They just kill the pollen out of them. And also, they love going after my beets. Now, I have tried diatomaceous earth on top, but the thing is they seem to just decide to go underground and eat from the bottom side then. It's like a never-ending battle.
Matt, you bring up a very, very good point here. The number one, if you really are having difficulty and it's becoming a real problem, you need to go to a professional who there are companies that will control these things. They have access to materials that we don't have in the domestic market, just so you know. So that's a backline, but we used to have some very good products in the market. Just they've been removed over time, but the professionals still have access to those, and that would help. The other thing is diatomaceous earths for ants really is no help at all, to be very honest with you. I would use one of the main ingredients in the ant controls is baking soda. And you have to keep it dry and put it around where you can find them. Always watch where they're going, where they're congregating, and put it around there, put it under bark or whatever so it doesn't get wet and stays. But baking soda is, again, one of the main ingredients in ant controls. But do give that a try. That would be far, far more successful. They take it to the nest, and it does help, take care of the problem. So other professional, if it's just getting out of hand, try the baking soda. And there's lots of domestic ant controls, but baking soda is the one that professionals that I've talked to, they use it themselves and very successfully. And it's not really toxic, which I think all of us are concerned about today. So Matt, good luck on that, but there's a couple of options. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Wait. Hold on 1 second. If I can, how do I protect my plants from excessive heat?
We learned a lot when we had that extremely heat dome in the valley here a few years ago. We were 47 degrees, and so many things burnt in our nursery. And the only thing that really helps, the one thing we learned right away is we used to irrigate in the morning, and then we'd irrigate at night if things were too dry. But we put a sprinkler on, and I know for gardens you have to be careful for mildew, but just cooling everything down. When you're getting excessive heat, we put it on maybe 3 or 4 times during the day for short cycles. We got the coolness because of the moisture, but it saved burning and made a huge difference. That really does work, and we've used it very effectively.
All right, Matt, hopefully that helps. I want to get an email in here quickly, Brian, from Eric on Bowen Island. Eric says, wondering if you have a suggestion for a fennel cultivar that's good for pollen rather than the edible bulb, perhaps an Italian variety that's been bred for maximum culinary pollen.
Yeah, what I'm going to do on this, the answer, Eric, 2 weeks today, I'm writing it down right now. When we got at the introduction and we talk about new things, I will get you the name. I know several people who are absolutely superb in terms of knowing fennel and the right ones, but I will get you the names of a couple of varieties that I think are what you're looking for. Great for pollinators and so on, but also best quality. There's lots of them out there, but I will get the hanging 2 weeks from today, and I promise right up the top, I'll get you the name of the best fennel. And I've got some very capable people who will get that for you.
Wonderful. Some special attention for Eric there from Brian. Thank you for that. So yes, check back in a couple weeks, Eric. Call in now from Lorna in Cobble Hill. Hi, Lorna. What's your question for Brian?
My question for Brian is lupin seeds. Is it too late to plant them, or should I just wait until next fall to plant them?
Hey, Lorna, that's a really good question. No, it's not too late to plant them. The question is the variety you're going to put in right now. Will we still get flowers? If you can find them, I love the series called Gallery, but the mini Gallery are the ones I absolutely love because they ripen and mature very, very quickly. I did them very late last year, even getting into the November. I should have done them last June. They're coming along beautifully, and I know I'm going to get flowers. So mini Gallery is the one I would do. But remember, when you propagate lupin seeds, they're so hard. Take a very, very sharp knife and hold them and chip the seed a wee bit to get faster germination. Freeze them first for 48 hours, a little bit of a chip in the seed. That'll help you get germination. And if you choose mini Gallery, you will get flowers again as we go later in the summertime.
All right, Lorna, I hope that helps. And Brian, I love this. We have Robert on the line from Kelowna, and he is joining us to tell you some results of a question he asked of you a while back. Robert, what did you want to say to Brian?
Hi, Brian. Yes,
Hi.
I'm going to test your memory a little bit because this is going back quite a ways. I phoned in. This is going back to the days of COVID. So that's 2021. I phoned in. I'll be surprised if you remember. I'll be impressed. It was we were having a wedding in our garden, and I had a plant which hid the hot tub, had 32 two-gallon pots of white impatiens. And it was starting to go brown in one corner, and it was a few weeks to the wedding. I was panicking because all the impatiens were dying off. You explained it was impatiens wilt, and to be honest, there's not a lot I could do about it with impatiens wilt. But you were so concerned, and you were so empathetic because it was a wedding. So I really appreciate that. So there's a bit of an ironic end to the story.
Yes.
But first of all, we had huge help. The gardeners came out in terms of helping me.
That's wonderful.
Lending a planters and that, and trees and all sorts. So the wedding went fine. The majority of guests didn't actually notice the impatiens wilt. We did our best to tidy it up. Mm-hmm. Ironically, the only guests who actually noticed the impatiens wilt are those guests who listen to your show.
Okay, good.
They knew exactly what to look out for.
Yeah.
Oh, Robert, thank you so much for calling back and touching base with that. Always nice to know what happens after you give your fabulous advice, Brian.
Okay.
Time for some more advice.
That was so nice to hear. Yeah.
All right, we will get to Keith in Cranbrook with the questions about lilacs. Hi, Keith.
Hi. Thank you for taking my call.
Of course.
Brian, one quick question. Is there a way to stop all the new shoots from coming up around the main stalk of my lilac trees every spring?
Yeah, there is. It's obviously rootstock coming up from the bottom, and when we do plant grafted lilacs, always put the graft above ground. That's very, very important. But what I do, I just shear everything off, and I put heavy duty, not regular ground cloth, but heavy duty ground cloth that has a felt bottom in a circular form around the tree. And weight it down with bark or stones or whatever you want to be able to with it looks attractive. And it is a very good deterrent, but you need the heavy duty ground cloth, and it makes all the difference in the world. The light stuff, they'll push it up and go, but if you do the heavy duty stuff, it'll work really, really well for you.
All right, Keith, thank you for that. Lilacs, I just love. Lots of emails have come in, Brian, so we'll get to a few. Jordan writes, my lawn appears to be infested with grubs from the European chafer beetle. What product would you recommend to get rid of them?
Three things. Number one is you really can't do anything now because the grubs are in the soil and all the predators are hungry and looking for them. Mm-hmm. The only thing that we had this pop up about 4 or 5 weeks ago, we talked about this. If it's really tearing up your lawn, don't go through all that trouble. Get some poultry wire, whatever you can, nail it down tight over your grass, and all the predators will not be able to get them. The grubs will fly into their next life cycle, and so that's the safe way to do that. It doesn't become a problem until late July and August. When they come back, all the various species are coming back, beginning to lay eggs. The only thing we found that actually works is a safe product. Scott's Grub Out happens to be the one that has a bacteria like BTK. We always talk about protecting our cabbage in the fall from the larvae, but this particular Grub Out has a bacteria which actually will attack and control the eggs. It does work very, very well. You have to apply it twice, late July and early August, in maybe 2 weeks in sequence. That will give you control. And that's very important. For people who are trying to fix their lawn right now that's been damaged and whatnot, don't put your regular grass seed in. There's many different companies putting out grub-resistant grass. And it may have clover in it, probably, but you can still have it look nice. But the point is they're less likely to come back into your lawn when they're looking for a place to lay their eggs late summer. So please, those are the three things. But in the meantime, if you've got the animals destroying your lawn, put the fencing down, the wire fencing down, so they can't destroy it. That's very, very important. And grub out late July and August. And if you're planting grass, get a grub-resistant variety of grass that will make a difference for you.
All right, Jordan, I hope that helps with your grub situation. And Layla writes, I live in Victoria. Can I plant garlic now? And what is your take on putting peanut shells in the garden? And what is the fertilizer to use for tomatoes that's organic? Thank you so much. A couple of questions there from Layla, Brian.
Yeah, we have lots of organic fertilizers right now. I always talked about 10, 15, 19. It is 40% organic, but it has the micronutrients in it. So 10, 15, 19 for all your vegetables late in the season because it's so effective with the micronutrients. In terms of the other two questions here, sorry, should have answered them first here.
Peanut shells in the garden.
Yep. Peanut cells, sure. I mean, I'm not sure why we're planting them in the garden, but in the industry, we use we use hazelnut shells. It stops lichen growing everywhere. So many growers are using it right now. They have an availability in Oregon. That's one of our biggest growing areas, is certainly in North America, but they use those. So for peanut shells, anything like that, it'll break down. It's got nutrients in it. So sure, absolutely. No problem with doing that at all whatsoever.
All right. And the fertilizer to use for tomatoes, that's organic.
Yeah, the 10, 15, 19 we talked about is 40% organic, but my goodness, it is very, very effective. And just a reminder, when you're planting tomatoes, we're a couple months away. Put some lime around your tomatoes when you plant them, so it'll build up the calcium that help prevent blossom end rot. Really important thing to keep in mind when we're going to plant them.
All right, Brian, we've only got about a minute left. We'll squeak in one more email. Bob writes, I'm trying to find a flowering set of bushes for my garden. Currently, I have a variety of shrubs, but they get choked by crabgrass. Any recommendations?
Well, crabgrass is a tough one because it has such a vigorous root system. The only two ways that are effective is putting ground cloth down now as a deterrent, and put mulch or something that you have compost over the top of it. But the point is, put a deterrent down. Weed seeds are in the ground right now. All our lawns and gardens are full of weed seeds right now. And if you can put a cover over top, that's the by far the best way to do that. And you know, when it starts to come up, if you're tenacious, we have so many types of hand tools today, which are long handled tools, because of the roots being so vicious below there. Just take the time to get down deep and dig them out organically. That does work very well. Remember, for a weed, it's life and death. For us, it's an annoyance. So they always win. Don't let them win. Just that tenacious reading. But the ground cloth is so much easier and so much more effective.
That is a very good way to think about the weeds in our garden, Brian. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you being with us. Once again, that went so quickly, but you'll be back with us in a couple of weeks. So we'll
with
talk to you
questions,
then.
Right?
Yes,
Answers.
with Fennel answers. We'll hold you to it, Brian. Thank you.
Thanks, Amy.
Brian
Bye-bye.
Minter is our gardening columnist, and he joined us from Country Garden Limited in Chilliwack. And yes, he'll be back in 2 weeks with some gardening advice and fennel recommendations. And that is our show for today. I want to thank you for calling in and joining the discussion. You can email us, bctoday@cbc.ca. And a huge thanks